This month, a new FDA-endorsed drug to help treat early Alzheimer's was announced. While the drug will help people, it will not stop the concerns that come with the disease. News 4's Mackenzie Foster shows us how one organization is working to help keep people with Alzheimer's safe.
The number of people diagnosed with Alzheimer's continues to rise.
And there are over 100,000 people 65 years and older in the state of Alabama living with Alzheimer's today. And twice as many of those people carry the burden of Alzheimer's as caregivers in the state.
With the number of people diagnosed going up, so does the number of people with Alzheimer's getting scammed.
People in cognitive decline are especially susceptible to fraud and scams.
This is why Sarcoa and the Alabama Department of Senior Services are implementing the Dementia Friendly Alabama initiative.
We teach local businesses how to better assist, provide better safety, and just recognize the symptoms of someone in cognitive decline.
To better protect people with Alzheimer's, it is advised for everyone to educate themselves on Alzheimer's and some potential odd behaviors.
Reach out to local resources such as Rosemary House, Sarcoa, and Respite Care Ministry, and also attend local events to learn more about how to prevent fraud and elder abuse.
To learn more about signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's, go to dementiafriendlyal.org. In Dothan, Mackenzie Foster, your hometown news leader.
Hodgett hopes to educate more people in person at Fraud Summit, which is happening tomorrow in Enterprise.